So what you want to do is make sure that for whatever course you're going to be assessing, you're within that discipline, all right? Right here are the 3 courses that I'm teaching this semester, Bio 9, 32, and 32L. Not all of these have been set up with activities. So activities are set up by the Office of Institutional Effectiveness. Yes, Mike? Yes, for the fall. And that should, so if you come right here under courses, you look right here, fall 2018, but you can look at my spring 18 roster. What am I doing? Apparently I'm teaching Bio 1, 2 sections of that, 2 sections of Bio 2, and Bio 33. That's interesting because that's not what I thought I was doing. Check fall 17, see if that coincides with what you taught last fall. Oh, spring 18, I'm sorry, I was thinking spring 19. That is what I taught, spring 18. Did you get a notification that your course was up for assessment?
There's one English 13 it is, but I don't have access to it. I'm supposed to do something.
Okay, let me come over here and see what's going on.
Not to add to the
Title 5 is different from SLO assessment.
Okay. Oh, well, I know I did not get this class, even though it's definitely.
Okay, that's weird. Oh, okay. These are just your class rosters. There's no assessment form. That means no act. That's where I'm going to. Okay. So what we're doing here right now is associated with SLO assessment. Okay. It's not associated with Title V, with any course revision. Having said that, I can show you how to do that. Sorry, in my class, I like my students to listen to me a little bit while we're going through this stuff. If you have to do a course revision or a Title V, or if you're making a new course, we can go over that in a few minutes. If you can go and find a semester where you do have a student roster, that would be helpful. So like right now, fall 18, you guys don't have anything planned for assessment at all?
It's like, why have?
Yeah, you have one. Okay. So look at your courses, and as you see up here on the screen, there's an activity name and an activity description. So the Office of Institutional Effectiveness is indicating to me that Bio 32 has an SLO assessment up for me to do. Bio 32L doesn't though, which is weird because that's the lab for the course. I don't know. I need to fix that. So if you can go to one of your courses that has a scorecard that has a number by it, I'm going to open this one for my genetics course. Okay. I'm going to go around and see if you guys found those. Good.
I'm one that needs assessment.
It doesn't have a scorecard. You're not up for assessment. Now, go and see if you have anything else. Go to not. Find one. There's got to be one in there. Go to disable. Go to ESL. Wow. You may need to sit next to somebody if you don't have any plan. So even though there's something's not up for assessment, no, because there's no activity. So guys, if you don't have anything that says activity, it is not up for assessment. Okay, but because it's been assessed twice in 5 years, you guys didn't have it. So why don't you go on ahead and have a seat, and then we'll go on ahead and file a follow on. Okay. All right, so this is just how to enter your SLO data. I know that some areas spend a lot of time, especially English, normalizing your whatever you're using for SLO assessment. We are not telling you that you have to do anything any differently. Having said that, the easiest way to do your SLO assessment and record the results is to have a project that is linked to a specific SLO, not have a final exam and that grade reflect the accomplishment of an SLO. So like for me, analyze the organization, regulation, and transmission of genetic material at the molecular level. What I'm really saying there, just as an example, for you guys is that I want to be sure that the students understand how DNA is packaged in a nucleus. And they have to show me that on a quiz or on an exam or on a project. And so for this student, this first student, Areli, I'm going to say that she met that expectation because she passed on my tool that I use to ensure that she knows that DNA lives in the nucleus of animal cells. Okay? Now, if she hadn't, I would click that she had not demonstrated mastery. I do realize that this is a yes-no rubric. The reason why and I know in English you have a broader rubric that you use. The reason why we're doing this is because a lot of other disciplines do not always have a rubric that has intermediate designations. And so what I mean is 2 + 2 = 4. You get that or you don't. And if you don't get it, you got to go back to addition and math. Yes, Mike.
Okay, a lot of the ones
Okay, great. So
it's easier to do that.
good. Then your life's going to be hecka easy. And so, but if there are broader distributions within your rubric, over time or in the next year or so, we certainly can change this. It's just that for, let's say, for example, in athletics and kinesiology, in the swimming courses, so they have those swimming courses that they run for people in the community. We collect apportionment for that. Whatever we collect apportionment for, any course we get money for, we have to do SLO assessment for. That is just the law. That is just the rule. And so one of the SLOs in the swimming course is that the students will learn the rules of safe, pool deck behavior. So they have to go through all that. Don't run on the pool deck. Don't horseplay. Don't trip your buddies. You know, if the pool deck is wet, be extra, wear shoes. You have all these rules. And if the students follow those rules, they're allowed to get in the pool then. So if the students can all swim, they have met SLO 1. And so they all go to meets expected. Yes, Mike. That's okay. No, this is what we're here for.
We're evaluating every single student individually.
Now, what's really nice is if you have a computer that has a touch screen, and I'll show you how that works. It's really nice. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, so ideally what's going to happen here is once all courses, we assess our individual courses. Then it's easier to then do a whole course.
You're assessing your section.
Right,
Yes.
right. We'll do our section.
I'll show you how that goes. Yeah, but Will's exactly right. Smattering.
I just want to ask, are you recommending that we set up one criteria to represent the SLO? In other words, there's different.
Yeah, like one project or one activity.
Just look at one, if they pass that, it's a yes.
Yeah. So now, like for me, I have numerous times where I do ask this question. Basically tell me that you know that DNA is in the nucleus of a cell. Okay. However, animal cells, plant cells, some animal cells don't even have a nucleus, just so you know. So I mean, there are fine discriminations I have to make. Okay. And there are times where I do have to say, well, did they really get that principle or not? And I might want to change mine. But you'll see how this turns out in the end. And it's more it will end up being more helpful because you're not going to be asking yourself, did I ask the question right? Okay. Did I do the analysis right? In the end, you'll be able to apply a more meaningful analysis and develop a plan that will actually take you somewhere rather than what we've been doing, which is just kind of up in the air. Like Will said, this endless smattering of stuff.
And so hypothetically, you could ask that as number 11.
Yes.
Quiz, but you're saying it's better to do it as a project or embedded into a project.
Yeah, a project. I know that the microbiology instructors, what they're doing is a quiz every week, and they do a 10-question quiz, and that 10-question quiz hits an SLO. And then they'll do it a second time. Sometimes if they want to do formative, we're only doing end of semester assessment right now, not formative yet. We can get to formative. It's just not a lot of people do formative. I love formative. I think formative is great. Okay. So what you're going to do is yes or no. This is actually very important, this NA. Every now and again, especially if you're using quizzes or a term paper or something as your assessment tool, every now and again, a student doesn't turn it in. but they don't drop the course. They end up getting a D or whatever. But something happened that they couldn't, that they're not going to be reflected in this. So you just put down NA. The reason you do that is it keeps the math straight. So you go through each student, save, and next. That takes me to the next student. Now I have filled in these students' information just kind of as a demo. You can always write down notes and stuff if you want to remember something about somebody or an SLO in particular. But basically, you can go to the bottom, entering your notes.
Are these, is like this page like open-ended? So like, let's say after the first assignment, I go through and I realize, oh, you know, SL, this really was to test SLOs 1 and 2. And so I go through and I just check off 1 and 2, but I leave the last 4 open. So then when I have to assign people later, that one check 5 and 6, go back in and do it.
Yep, you just push save, and you could go to courses, which will just take you back to that beginning page.
And then I can go back in. It's not like it's closed off and sent off.
No. You will be able to access these information, these files until the end of the semester. I honestly, it came up. I'm not sure when they close, when you can no longer interact with them. Because let's say you had a course that had 12 sections, and all of a sudden let me show you the Results Explorer. You're going to save, go to a Results Explorer. I don't like these graphs. I go to the table view because that's going to give you the percentage of your students that met expectations, percentage that didn't, how many NAs you have. And then ideally you would like right here, your reflections are 5 questions that you're answering with regard to this numerical data, but we can't click on it right here. I know I have cats, food, fish. I just wrote down words. I'll show you how to get to that. I print this screen or save it as a PDF. So you can come here to either save as PDF or you can print it to whatever printer. Since you're playing with it, you might as well print it. I'm not going to print it, but you can print it and you'll see that you have your graphical data, your numerical data. Eventually, your reflections will be here, but you haven't put any reflections in yet. So, you know, I would print just the first 2 pages myself so that if anything, you have the numerical data to look at and you've generated the PDF to save on your desktop. All of this is housed on Amazon services. So it's not here at Merced College. This is up in the cloud, the digital cloud in the sky. And if Amazon is ever taken out, there goes your SLO assessment. Having said that, it is Amazon after all. So, but still, I always save hard copy and digital copy because I'm just like that. So I print it out. This is the part I don't like. Back to course list. We haven't answered our questions. So I go back to my scorecard, which is now going to have a green check mark next to it. It just says go back to course list. Did you go to the Results Explorer?
No.
Okay, Mike, it's not going to work for you yet, and I'll show you why. Let me go back to this. Let me finish this part, and then we'll go back to your specific question. If you come back to your list, you always go to the bottom. That's why it wasn't working. You always go to the bottom student. You can save and then just go look at your data or continue to reflection. These are your 5 questions. And so, yeah, say yes for now. Because you didn't enter your student data. And and what it does is it saves the student data that you've entered, but it's basically saving it as a draft.
Now, I go to save for questions.
Yeah, and this will take you to your questions. Yes.
Can you go back and change it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, and you never know because maybe there's a student that you put an NA down for, but then they make it up later. Then you can apply the assessment. Then you can fix it. So I like the flexibility of that. I just don't know when this permanently closes because now you're going to write down your reflections. Excuse me. They always travel in pairs. What are the most significant findings of your data? Where are there any gaps? Gaps may be, 20% of my course didn't show up for that exam. That's a huge gap, right? What changes will be made to address your findings? Are you going to talk about this at your program review discussion? Are you going to change something? In chemistry, they figured out that the students, this was great, they didn't do their math review for their chemistry calculations till after the first lab. And the students on the first lab, their math was terrible. And so they're like, oh, well, maybe it's because of the order in which we put everything. They put the math review before that and magically up with their assessment, up with their performance. And they're like, oh, okay. So they figured it out actually from doing an SLO assessment. What changes are needed in the SLO statement potentially? Sometimes an SLO statement might be too complex. You might be asking too many things, too many outcomes. Some things, like playing an instrument, are you holding it correctly and having correct tone? Well, you might want to assess holding it or having the correct tone. If anyone in here's played like a sax, if you hold it wrong, your tone's going to be terrible, right? So that's just one of those things where you might want to modify the statement, and that might be your answer to this assessment. And then plans for improvement. Yes, Mike.
So this is talking about my course. So what is the plan for improvement?
This is your section of the
Right,
course.
yeah, my section. That course. So I can have a plan for improvement, but there's certain things I can do. Like, if I think it is worded oddly, I would put that in what needs to be assessed.
Yeah.
Right, I put that there. That doesn't mean it's going to happen because if no other instructor has that issue, right, they might decide we're going to leave it as is. Right.
Yeah.
I just want to.
Okay.
So.
All right, so I'm going to write that down. Okay. Now, I say submit and share. I don't share anonymously because I don't feel that I need to worry about my people being upset. Go back to Results Explorer, go to Table View, and down, here's my reflection. Change SLOA, and you'll see that Valerie Albano made that comment. We'll see how many other times that comes up. That's my suggestion. When we all sit down and do the program review, we're going to see who said what. What are my answers to what I saw as my numerical data? And so what's going to happen is this will start populating my Carl's, Edward Monteferi's, if we're all teaching separate sections of the same course. Yes.
But if it is shared anonymously, somebody can still see it, right?
Everybody can still see it.
It's not.
There's just no name.
But like.
It's not, you don't have anybody who, anybody in the program would be able to see it. I can't see, I can see it because I have extended permissions, but I'm not going to go dig around in English to see, who didn't share, who shared anonymously.
Is it just like a comment that would be anonymous?
The name.
The
faculty name, the faculty who completed the report. Having said that, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't hide it from you. It just removes the name. But having said that, the section numbers right here, all you need to do is go to the catalog. I mean, it doesn't take, Columbo here to solve this problem. So, and that's what I asked about that in our training, why would you ever share anonymously? And they just said some people wanted it, we put it in. But it doesn't really hide anything. So I don't know. I mean, if anything, you'd see who share it. You'd figure out, okay, 3 of you shared and 1 of you didn't, and 4 of you taught the course. Geez, how hard is it going to be to figure this one out? So that's just an aside. Shared by evaluators. These are just different ways to demonstrate the information. So if you wanted to look by question, here's the individual question. Here's what I said. You can group them.
And more people have done it.
Yes. Yeah. The only problem is I'm the only faculty that teaches genetics. So, but for biology 1, we have 12 people teaching it. So, and there are differences in the outcome. I mean, and it's not. Well, yeah. But when it comes up, when you look at it in the program review, all the courses, and so we're building this now. This is not easy. It's a very it's not a tangled spider web. You just need to be sure you build the web the right way. Let's just put it that way.
Someone who's not doing, let's say someone not teaching 85 and not doing this assessment, they don't have access to this report.
They will from the program level, but only when they open up the program review module. they will be seeing this, and they should be seeing this. It's generated as a report. And so what'll happen is you'll get a report of all of it. So right now, we only have one section.
Is this, I'm sorry, go back. Is this results for?
Yes, it is. And so, and I went to table view. I don't like the graphs. You know, when you have a graph bar that's this wide, it's ridiculous. Oh, but here's the good thing. I'll go back to that other question in a minute. When you look at the chart view, the reason why these bars are so wide is because it's only for fall 2018. Every time I teach this, it's going to start plotting the data for every year or every semester. And so you'll be able to watch trends over semesters or years. This class is taught annually. But like Bio 1, you'd be able to see it fall, spring, summer, and you'll get to watch the data trends over time for the whole course. Yes?
And we only did this for section A, the first page. It said under activity, it said activities.
Yes.
So
Yes.
every semester, we're not doing it for every section. We're just
So some disciplines have decided already that's what they want to do because they want to generate that longitudinal data fast. Because the more data you have in for your area, the more it's going to roll into your program review and the better off you'll be, frankly, kind of in your resource allocation, but the better program review you're going to have. So like if biology only had genetics contributing to the biology program review because I was the only one that did assessment once a year, that's the data going to program review.
But for that to happen, someone needs to let you know that we want to assess these all the time.
Human services have decided to do it every semester. Every semester they teach a course, a couple of human services instructors are like, I'm going to do it every time because it's become easy to do it. All you have to do is tell me whether or not the students were successful. Does it mean that someone can lie? Yes, it does. But then what'll end up happening over time is if somebody else comes in and starts teaching and their outcome is dramatically different. Yeah, so yes, well.
Okay, so we get a related question to that. So we do want a scorecard which has to be generated.
Yeah.
Right, 2 year data actually should. And also, frankly, as CAT, we still have some that should have been submitted already once. Do people have the choice of using the old form or started working?
No, it's done. The old form's dead. We burned that
They
file.
have turned it in, it should come on this. So I'll have to have you generate the scorecard.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. Is that being taught? Are those courses being taught this fall?
I'm talking about ones that should have been turned in August.
Okay, if they weren't turned in, the next time those courses taught, then they'll be scheduled to turn it in.
But I'm saying they're working just slowly.
It was due. It was due.
So I guess what I'm saying is they've already started turning their
The course ended the first week of September. So as far as I'm concerned, we're in a new course now. Because I can't juggle those balls anymore. This is what's going to be keeping track of what was turned in at what semester. And I mean, you've seen the spreadsheet, you know, spreadsheets that go laterally across many years, many academic years. X is here, X is there, X is here, X is there. We had to just kind of say, no, we're done. And if they didn't get turned in, they didn't get turned in. And, you know, that's just kind of where I'm at because I've said that's what happened.
So there's no way to do that because like right now it's giving me my rosters from spring. That's what we're talking about. Classes from spring. We didn't finish the reports yet. No way to just go back once.
Actually, if you have a roster in there.
Yeah. I have on my screen. If I go
Whoa.
back to spring, so we're not talking about like 2 years back.
Okay. If you wanted to do that in here, I would be grateful.
Right.
That would be awesome.
I have to ask you to generate.
Yeah. Send me an email about that. I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand.
All the IDs are there.
Well, this would be, yeah.
Oh, it would be way easier for you to do it here. In that case, yeah.
There's 34 of those. From spring.
Okay. Email me which courses. I may need the section numbers if you got the section numbers, but that makes it a little easier. And actually, I mean, I hope that this is going to make it easier for everybody to record their data. Like I said, we're working on the program review module right now. And go to the reflection, share, results. Don't go to the action plan. But what I'm really hoping is that by next fall, we're going to be able to hand you guys a report of what you all did in terms of assessment here in eLumen, and you're going to be able to go into the eLumen module of the program review and just say, oh, there it is, go. Because I think the data, while it's been informative from an institutional level, you know, how many students graduated, blah, 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 with degrees, and what was your retention rate and all that, this is what we're actually really interested in. You know, I mean, retention and success, that's all very important. But this is allowing us to drill down to, well, what percentage of our students actually understood that the nucleus had DNA in it? Because if they weren't getting it, we're doing something wrong. Because I think this is more our end. And we're finally getting what we need to meet what our needs are. Yes, Mike?
No, I could jump back. We went into the scorecard that has a little number next to it, right? It says, score students on a rubric view. The other one says score students on scorecard view. Does it matter which one you use?
If you click the other one open, it's the same questions. They're organized differently.
They're organized per student.
Per student. I kind of like doing the per student view myself, but you can do it by question. It just depends on the number of clicks you want to do. So let me go back and I'll show this up here on the video. So this one is the score students on rubric view. You can come here and look at by student each SLO, 1 or 2. This is just a preference, however you want to do it. That you save or you can continue to the reflection, either way. The only thing you don't get from here, the only thing that you do not get from here, that you did get from the other screen, is the ability to make notes, which is something that might be meaningful to you. You know,
but if organizationally, it's easier to do it like this, because it's easier to keep going.
Yeah.
Instead of clicking on music, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. If you're not annotating, then you're fine.
This looks like it might be easy.
Mhm.
Or, in my mind, easier to navigate on this other.
This field here?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, certainly if you're just entering and you don't want to do any annotations, you go to the end.
Could we
save, results explorer, same data come up. And then unfortunately you have to do this business
again. Is it possible to do it and then realize, okay, I want to make a notation on, only a couple of the students, and then go to the other
yes.
add a notation?
Yes. Yep. It's very flexible that way.
Okay.
And then you can come here. I don't know.
People were complaining that
I mean, I changed one. Now they're perfect. Yes.
Well done.
Awesome. I actually have a problem with that. That shouldn't be 100%. Well, I think what was happening in the past was the onus was on the faculty to get together as a group, and especially in English, with so many students and so many instructors in many sections of the course, you guys had to all sit down and everybody go through their papers. Well, this student did this and this student did that. Well, I didn't call it that, Even with us, we were doing our assessment in Biology 1 in the lab because we knew everyone was coming to lab. We could ask the same questions in the lab because the lab is kind of worked a little differently than individual lectures. But then we had stacks of Scantrons this big that we were just feeding through and then getting a report out of it. And then let's just see how many of them passed 1 through 5. It was just a math headache. I had another faculty in another division or discipline that had 82 students in a large load class, and she was trying to figure out what percentage of her students met the expectation using a calculator because she didn't know how to use a spreadsheet. 85 students to figure out. Yes. And I was just like, the odds of making a mistake with 85 students and a calculator is tremendous.
And she said she cried.
And she said she cried.
I would cry.
I would too. I mean, I would probably sit there and get really mad and keep doing it until I got the same answer 4 times, but that's just me. I don't expect other people to be insane like me, right? This is going to change how people reflect on the process, and they're going to see that. I hope that we're going to see that the process is actually meeting what it's supposed to be meeting, and not giving us more headaches and making us cry. We all went to graduate school and cried. I don't know.
We work on this off campus, right?
Yes, that's another beauty about this. You don't have to have any software in your computer. You can do this on a Chromebook.
Quite fine.
I don't know. I haven't played with that. I haven't played with that, but I can't because my eyes are getting. So I'd be
That's
like,
a good one.
It's like, that was more kind of that issue, but you said you weren't quite sure when people are being locked out of it. So it's due in January, right?
Yeah.
To me, you really need to still have access past the date.
You never know. It is.
And that'll be an excuse for them to be like, well, I'm locked out now. I swear I was gonna finish it, but I'm locked out, so I can't do it.
Yeah. I don't know how that's gonna work. That's
Excuse person.
so this came up during our last training, and because of a number of things going on, I'm not meeting with that with our eLumen specialist until next Monday. We were supposed to meet this Monday, and then I was like, oh yeah, we're not.
It would seem to me that having it open a little bit into the next semester, because sometimes
Yeah.
we go like right on vacation like the day after the semester ends or something like that. And we might just forget about it over the summer. So to me, it would seem more ideal to have it a buffer, I don't know, whatever amount
Yeah.
is there into the next semester.
Mm-hmm. And I do think, I mean, I talked to Miss Fowler about that. And, she agrees that that's the kind of thing, we want to have some flexibility. We want to be able to say, oh, okay, this happened, that happened. I mean, there are plenty of people on campus that honestly do forget. I mean, we're not perfect. There are people who get injured, somebody in our area just got put on bed rest because she's pregnant. And, now she can't finish teaching her course. So we're all absorbing that. Well, what does that mean about assessing that course? That section, it's just like, oh God, So there's a lot of things that happen during this course of the semester. So having said that, I am a hard ass parent, and there will be a point at which I'm like, I don't know if I can reopen it. Now in your case,
I'm a hard ass in terms of like leaving it open so that you keep whenever it closes, that person's like, see, I can't do it.
Well,
and
then
that
that,
needs to be the hard ass versus not having it open. That's
I know. But the other reason you don't want to leave it open infinitely is that people can go back and tweak the data. See how I just changed this to 100%? All of a sudden, magically done.
Like after they submit it, it doesn't block it.
I don't know. We haven't done this yet.
Because remember I said,
That's what I mean. I don't know when they close or how the submission, because once you hit, here in theory, I've submitted, but I'm still going back and modifying it because, what's the most significant finding of my data? Rabbits, really? I should be fired for that. But, I'm using this for training purposes right now. So it hasn't closed yet. So I don't know if on that closing date, if that date means that it's closed or what. So, what I can do is I can ask to see if old reports can be reopened. There are a number of things that I certainly can ask about, but, the first time around, we'll see what kind of nightmares happen. But I agree with you. Yeah, we should have some flexibility.
I like the idea that it doesn't close because, like I was saying, what if I want to? I decide, okay, I like this way, but I want to evaluate. I want to do my assessment throughout this. So every time I get an assignment, I'm going to go through. Obviously, I need all 6. Because but it might be 2 or 3 of them. So I'm going to assess those. That's right. And I'm going to do that throughout the semester. But if I close it,
then you're done.
It looks like they didn't even meet the other 4.
I guess I like saving it.
You just push it. No, there's no launch. No.
I guess I'm thinking of the curriculum side, there's like the
Yes, no, it doesn't have that. So far, this does not have that.
So they're open entry, open exit, so we will, if you post it on the.
That's true.
I'm not
No.
gonna have people read it.
No, I know that's for the semester view, that's, I think what's gonna happen. I mean, again, I'm not sure how this is going to end, but it's because it's a planned activity. Are you here for SLO? Yeah, no. Oh, right now we have a faculty course happening in here. I'm sorry. Until 3, after 3, we're open again. Thank you. But, so that's kind of where we're still kind of up in the air right now. My apologies. I mean, I don't have the perfect answer for you, but what I would just recommend is get as much in as you can. And Mike, yes, there the allied health courses, they are definitely doing it one at a time because they have a lot of SLOs because they have external accreditation boards, and so every time they do a test, that's an SLO actually.
Yeah, I was thinking I had this all semester as I'm going
Yeah.
along. Now it's really not do.
And
Do for the best this time.
You can make
And
it.
that would be in my report. I would put that.
yes,
my
do
report is,
please.
You know, 40 semester, so I won't talk about the time.
Yes.
If you make it a semester line, then all the students would have time to.
There is that. I mean, I think that right now, and I hear what you're saying, and the very responsible instructors will do it that way. Those who are not quite as invested, if you give them too much, they will walk all over you. And so I do have to have opening and closing dates. You know, it's the parent in me. If you don't do this, I am going to have to take your iPad. Oh, you did it. I'm going to take your iPad. I'm really sorry you made that choice. Moving forward, perhaps we shouldn't make that choice again. You know, and I am not the one responsible for what happens. That's the Office of Institutional Effectiveness and Instruction. So, I mean, I know that in the past we've looked at this very negatively, and a lot of problems have come about because, you know, I'm not doing it that way. It's too hard, and it has been too hard. I completely agree. Hopefully, we're going to be mitigating some of the
You know what I like?
math issues.
What I like about this is I always come forward with the beginning that you're going through the question and add data. Yes,
Well, that's the pros and cons. Like, scan it in.
well, maybe for the SLO course, but we never.
There's no smattering now.
It didn't seem like it was useful to me on a course, on a section, on my individual class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's all.
Like, it's like, okay, there's a report go, like, you know, whatever. This one seems like I'm just responsible for my own course. And I'm gonna look at the data for myself, my own course, and I can adjust it accordingly.
And
And
still
then-
see the whole course.
Right, and then as a group, we can see, well, are other people having the same issues that I'm having?
Mm-hmm.
And this will hopefully foster more collaboration. You're like, you know, Will doesn't have a problem with evaluation of text. We can see what he does.
Exactly.
Meet that SLO.
Exactly. And, you know, the nice thing also is that different semesters may reflect patterns of data. We all know that spring semester, the students just don't do as well, or at least in the sciences, they don't. Fall is here, spring is here, summer is here. And, you know, and I think that part of the way through spring, they're just kind of done, you know, they've just given up. And so for some of the semesters, so Carl Estrella teaches Bio 4B in the fall, and I teach it in the spring. And Bio 4B, honestly, is one of the hardest biology classes we have. And just teaching that course makes you pull your hair out. And so sometimes Carl and I have compared just, well, this is what I got, this is what you got. Well, now we can come over here and look at semester-wise, what did Carl's look like? What did mine look like? Why did we get that outcome? Sometimes, and actually we did figure one thing out. So in the fall, one of our field trips is to Monterey Bay Aquarium and to Monterey to the tide pools there. In the fall, animals and plants are going to town breeding. Breeding. Because during the winter, especially for the plants, the larvae, so you have fertilization happening, then the larvae land on the ocean floor, and then by the spring, late spring you see things, but our field trips in the early part of spring. So you don't know what's out there. So Carl has all this diversity to look at, and everything's not everything, but there's a lot of dead out there when I get there. And my students weren't getting the benefit of seeing what his students were saying. So there was a big difference. By the time Carl sees the seaweed, they are in full sexual maturity. Believe it or not, seaweeds have male and female portions to the plants, and you can physically see it. It doesn't look like what you think it looks like. There's nothing for my students to see. So I have to actually go to the aquarium and go look at samples that they keep just for breeding purposes for the big algae tanks. Say, hey, can I see a male and female, blah, blah, blah. Oh, sure, we have that out back. We'll get that for you. But I would have never known that had Carl and I not done assessment on that specifically. And it was like he sees it in the fall and I don't in the spring. And my students are not making that connection. That was a really big deal. And so now I'm going to change my field trip for a time that the aquarium has better access to those samples so that the students can actually see those samples. It's in an aquarium, it's not wild, but at least they're seeing. So, I mean, that was a great outcome from our assessment, but we wouldn't have gotten that had we not checked longitudinally over time. So that's going to help a lot. So, you know, if it's easy to input, if we can physically see trends over time, that's only going to help us design better questions, design better analyses, but also at some point, it's the students actually reflecting what we've given them. And hopefully we'll get to that sooner than later. So, other questions? If there's anything else you want to assess, or if you want me to come visit you guys, if you feel that having me speak to the cohorts would be helpful, I'm happy to do that. Did you want to talk about a little bit of the curriculum Title V stuff real quick?
Yeah, because I have to do a Title V.
Okay, so let's go back to the courses, back to course list.
Actually, coming to the, I'm not at four meetings.
It depends. I mean, if I'm teaching during the time you guys have your cohort meeting, it's, you know, different. But what time do you guys have them on Fridays, I assume?
No, Tuesday, Thursday. But also they're pretty, I don't know, I guess you could, they're pretty stacked in terms of like we use all 16 minutes, a lot of people. A lot of people.
Maybe they could do a forum. This is the thing though, with our forum
Excuse me.
They're more,
I mean, or an area meeting. If you want me to come into an area meeting.
You're gonna get more questions about, are they trying to track us, fire us over this?
Okay, so if people haven't read their contract, then I can't help them.
Those are the questions.
Read your contract.
That's like, I'm sure they were in email about this, right? Sort of.
Not really. I think they were emailing Rich, and Rich sent out an email saying that this is off the table. This was put in our contract. This will not be used for our evaluation period.
Well, that's what they say.
Well, you know, if they feel like having an ulcer, then they're going to have an ulcer. That's not my fault. I can't change
you're
their
gonna
mind.
call you and ask, something along the way.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna call you.
No, that's what I get release time for. That's why they pay me to do this. Literally. They should pay Will for what he does. Cats don't get paid enough. But anyways, let's go over here. Excuse me. What happened there? You want to go to curriculum? Now, here's the thing. I can only open curriculum in biology. I cannot open any of your curriculum, even if I go in as a data specialist. So you guys and your deans can do this, but I can't. You're going to go to the curriculum library. Here's the part that is kind of wonky. Go to department, say select none. Then search your term. Okay, so go up here, go select none, because are you at faculty?
Yeah.
Fall 2018? And then for you it would be English, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have a box that says curriculum?
No. Why is that? I don't have the, you gotta.
Oh, you have to go here to curriculum library. Click on that. Then you come over here, click on that. Everything is selected. Go select none. And then you can scroll down to English. Economics, English. I'm going to scroll to biology because I can't open anything in English, anything meaningful. Then click outside of the box and it'll bring up all your courses. So right now, I actually am doing a course modification to Bio 9. So let me show you how I did that. Did you get your English courses up? Oh, if they are courses that are, yeah, they might be.
Now, but I don't have access to the correct?
You shouldn't, no. That might be a glitch because I know, which one is that? That's English 13. Okay, then that's something they need to go through. Can you email me about that? Actually, you should email Lisa Diaz about that because she's the curriculum chair. Because that has to go in under both sides. Yes, please. Because at least I'll be able to say, yes, Lisa, I hadn't emailed you. D-I-A-Z. Okay, so I'm going to open my Bio 9 course. And when I do this, it says new revision, deactivate course. Please don't do that. Because then you have to go and rebuild it again. That's a bad idea. Show history, view core report. This is the course outline. But when I want to do a revision, new revision, what it's going to, oh, that's in a workflow. Never mind. Let me come to Bio 32. If I want to do a revision, it's going to ask me what type of modification. Is it a course modification? Are you adding DE to it? And then there's 2-year CTE and SLO update. The reason why SLO update is separate is because that does not have to go to the chancellor's office. CTE 2-year review does not have to go to the chancellor's office.
If I go to philosophy, English 13.
Oh, did it give it to you?
Yeah, the word, I mean, actually, there, English 13.
Okay. See if you can open it.
Can I see if I can put it into it?
Yeah, see if you can click into it.
So, I mean,
Did it give you, so click on the little box? Let's see if it gives you the option. Yeah, so click on English. Yes, it's going to let you do this course revision. Probably because you're playing. So now, the course modification will be your title. So what it's going to do is pull up what we call a tablet review here. Course info. So this is the cover info. So you would scroll down. Comments are for the reviewer. Scroll up. Course. Rationale. Oh, so this is all the stuff that you're going to need. If you're doing Title 5, typically end of the year done. Actually, I think there's rationale. Oh, notes for submission. So that's for you. Title 5.
how do I do
Usually Title 5 review is just looking at your SLOs, making sure that your test was
That's what I was.
yeah.
So why not worry about that?
Probably not. Just look at the textbooks, and that would be no. Just find the textbook. Oh wait, scroll down. Yeah, there it is. Where the textbook.
So you see that page.
Yeah. So what you would do is you would click those out, add your new author and all that. Yeah, get rid of them, delete them. This is
And we see it as a draft.
save as a draft.
Submit
or
is one
submit.
that goes in.
Yeah.
That might be the other page. Submit.
This one actually has a submit button, yeah. Now, delete the workflow so you can start again later. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. It's pretty easy. So other than that, I mean, it's pretty easy to do. It's just that on the review end, we're having trouble making sure it jumps from one person to the next. And I mean, we're working that out. Our curriculum's working that out. Having said that, I keep getting roped into it. So.
I did rock with it. I sent it.
I think this is easier to use than curriculum.
Yeah, it seems much. Yeah, it looks like it's easier to use.
I mean, there are definitely some bugs. Yeah. It's a little bit buggy, but it's a lot less buggy than CurriculNet ever was. So, I mean, it still has its challenges, but we're going to work our way through that. It'll happen. No problem. No problem at all. Yeah. So enjoy, and if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm sitting in my office during all those hours I sent out. I really do have to make another couple of videos. I've just been teaching, doing my job. Funny that, right?
I was thinking you want to have somebody make a video for you of those algae during mating season or whatever. That's not as fun as being here on Twitter, but
you can see it. You can see it. It just isn't what you think it is. Yeah, it's reproduction. It's not going to tell you what.
Does the kelp turn red or something?
There are some kelp that are red. Actually, it's red algae, and they live deep in the water. And they only photosynthesize.
But they're red all the time. It's not a changing patch.
No, I don't think so. But they do develop external papillae, so they're smooth, and then when they become sexually mature, they develop these little nodules that release gametes. It's something. My daughter, she's in 7th grade, and they just looked at pond water. They started microscopy, and I like to think that I've been teaching her biology, but she wears glasses, so she has a hard time looking in the microscope. So I never really bothered too much about it. And so her teacher had this pond water with all this nasties living in algae and all these unicellular organisms. And so she was drawing them and just got so grossed out. She crumpled it up, threw it in the garbage can, and said, I'm going to throw up if I keep looking at this. And she took a 0 in her lab. And so he gave her another thing, and he said, occasionally this happens. Occasionally a student really loses it. And now she won't go swimming in the ocean. She won't go swimming in ponds or rivers or lakes anymore. She's like, did you know there's that stuff in water? And I'm like, yeah, I've been aware of it for quite a while. And so she wouldn't drink water for about a week and a half. She wouldn't drink water. Yeah. And so she was watching me drink water, and she's like, Mom, does that water have the animals in it? And I was like, no, city water does not have the animals in it. Bottled water doesn't. Well, why do you even look at that stuff? So we know what makes us sick when we drink it. So you know not to drink that. Okay, so now she's drinking water. When they do bacteriology, she is going to lose it. It's not going to be okay.
Yeah, I heard years ago, whenever you go like swimming in a pond or a lake or something, it's very likely that you swallow a lot of hydras.
Yes. Yes.
It's
they're everywhere. And amoebas and fish eggs. Yeah. I know, you just can't think about it. Just go have fun. That's what makes you strong. It doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger.
Yeah, but it might kill you. What's that?
But it might kill you. Bacteria. Yeah, there are some amoebas here in some of the ponds. Yeah, they'll get in there and they'll get into your eye, travel under your mouth. Yeah, I know. Yay, biology. Something's gotta kill you. It's awful, I know. So anyways, well, thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys spending an hour with me. I am going to go outside. Yes, just for lunch.
Okay, you're not leaving there.
No, not yet. I'm for another hour.
You're right. That's all mine.
Right.
I just got.
Yes. But I need to know.
George, I have 2,100 emails there. They were truly fun. And then the next one, he would see me. Or I don't know where you're being really young man who helped me get into my email. That's me.
Yeah, a lot of them are just.
I think
Especially
it was good to do some live call. Share.
sometimes they'll be every.
I never do, because I'm always having to, this group stuff. You never said that.
We got.
Or she's just great. I mean, if you want to know more questions, she's gonna be here for free.
Okay, I thought, I was thinking all of this. So we have all the week. So SLO.
And it takes the mystery.
Yeah, snow guns, yeah,
It's supposed to get worse.
really?
Well, thank you very much. Questions? I'll say it's actually pretty easy. I'll just forget.
No big
A
deal.
little blue box in my.
Yeah, but the nice thing about this is it's so forgiving. You just, go back to the previous page.
For
It
the,
actually looks like.
yeah, for the SLO, it's also the fact that there's no submit button. So you can go back, I like that.
Yeah, and I think that, I don't know, like I said, I need to talk to Megan about this. It just may be because it's a planned activity that it just has open and closed. But, if this time around, though, it closes too early and we have to figure out how to reopen it, okay? But in the future then, let's just talk about it as a group and say, how long do we want to extend it?
But at the very least, it's gonna go.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I might not even have mine there by the end of the semester.
Well, and some people, end of semester at grades, some schools actually say, grades semester low. I don't know how the bigger schools get that. I don't get it really on with that.
Well, like you said, this semester, you do assignments. But in the future, I would think we're gonna do a major assignment.
Yeah.
As you go forward, it's gonna make it a lot easier.
Yeah. And then that way, it's not this big buildup. In the end, it's all taken care of. People can work. Yeah. Thanks a lot, you guys.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, hot chocolate. Now I can use it stuff. Oh my goodness. Maybe I should suck on one of these over here. Tastes like gold. How weird. Are you taking the online course, Marvin?
I took it before, the one with, Cam and Jean. Yeah, I took it before. Yeah, you take that? Oh, you're doing it, how to go?
Fine.
It's okay? Yeah.
Every now and then I get frustrated, but.
Yeah.
It's not on there, it's on mine.
Oh.
I'm trying to do things that I think really don't.
Oh, well, yeah.
Why is it pasty? Why is it pasty? Oh, yeah.
Well, the function in Canvas doesn't do everything that it used to, like software.
That's right.
It doesn't have all those functions, and the ones it does have, kind of a stripped down.
Yeah, those, the HTML boxes, yeah. Well, what I was, working on, excuse me, I was working on today was doing that, making the picture the link to a video.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can click on the link, they don't have to click on the video. Yeah, I mean, that is not,
Not our system.
I mean, yeah.
Files.
And that seems more like a style thing.
But it does make it look polished.
Yeah.
Some degree, that's a little bit, I gotta say, we have to. Of course, when things are all along, the materials are good. Just need to do better. Yeah.
Oh, was this sort of like an open session, 1 to 3? Okay. So you have like a presentation component, and then the rest of it is kind of like open-ended questions.
And some people said that they had class till 2.
Oh, okay, so they can.
Yeah. But we'll see what happens. Stop share. I don't want to stop share because at the moment I do that, it won't work.
That'll bring it in.
Yeah. I know that's one thing I haven't played with very much is Zoom. Somebody else come in? No.
Yeah, something's going on right now.
Yeah. My daughter got through this no problem at all. Jeez.
Well, that's because she's avoided all those germs in the water.
That's true.
See, that's what you get for swallowing all those hydras.
That's what I get. Yeah. So I'm sitting here wasting time, and did you know that when you close something up for the winter, like your garage or your camper or parts of your home, if you put pieces of what is it? You clean the area first, then you add something that has like a smell of peppermint
Oh,
so that the mice don't come and hang out. So
mice don't like peppermint.
no, and they're saying if you get a bar of Irish Spring and cut it up and put it around where you think mice might come in, they won't come in because they don't like the smell of Irish Spring soap.
No, I did not know that.
You learn something new every day.
Yeah, okay, so.
That might be useful.
Irish Spring. It could be useful, that's a very practical. I've heard that mice love peanut butter. And some people bake their traps with peanut butter because they say mice really love that.
We do in biology. We catch them, then actually, we were going to feed them to the snake, but we ended up
You guys
not
have a
doing.
snake?
We have several, yeah.
Oh, terrific.
Students don't always like seeing them, but Yeah, oh, hi, Heather. In 3 seconds. Oh, it's all right. Good grief, thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
you already played around.
Oh.
So have you played it at all on this?
No.
Okay, well, this is gonna be easy. And did you get an email about having a course up for assessment?
No.
Okay, well, it might be a little harder, but let's see what you end up with here.
We are doing step 5 and we do
Well, that's a little bit different from this, but I can show you how to do that. Why don't you first go to the Merced College webpage, and I'll show you how to log into eLumen.
Yeah.
Chrome is pretty good as well. Firefox works pretty well. Don't use Firefox is, yeah, that's Chrome. Yeah, by Merced College.
The SLO system's fine. I think that that's what they were taught. Some people said this to go in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right, so, well, just to log into eLumen, no, you don't go there. Go back to where you were. Okay, so to get to the eLumen login, here, watch. Here, if you want to watch up there, it'll be easy. Go to faculty and staff. And then here are like a bunch of the links that we all tend to lose, like print forms, flex forms, all these things. But the eLumen link is right here. And so right here underneath it, the CurricuNet link, that's going to be going away. It'll go dead in December. It should be going away at the end of December because we are no longer going to have a contract with CurricuNet.
Okay.
So you just click on that, click on eLumen. It logged me back in. So log in just like your log into the portal. Excuse me. I have a cold, obviously. Oh yeah. So right now, okay, let's see what's going on. So I won't show you the SLO stuff, but just so you know, when you log in, this is the first page you're going to get. Make sure that you're looking at the right semester over here under courses. Make sure you're logged in. I mean, for me, I have different rules, but I have faculty. But make sure you log in under your appropriate discipline. So if you look over there in English, do you have anything other than English there? Just click on it, see if you're linked to anything else. Just English. Okay, good. If you did have a planned assessment, it would be showing up over here as an activity, but you don't have it, so don't worry about that. So for the Title V, what you want to do is come over here to curriculum. Yeah, let me show you. Yeah, if you want to see how to do that. So I'll show you with my Bio 9. So just watch on with my Bio 9. I have 2 scorecards here. I like this one. Mike likes that one. I'll show you in a minute. What you're allowed to do here is to identify whether or not the student, one student at a time, has met each SLO. So like for the student, I'll say she met expectations for SLO 1. If she was not in class for SLO 2 or she didn't do the assignment that assesses SLO 2, you put NA in here because it keeps the math good. Okay. You have to put a placeholder in there so that the math will calculate out correctly. And then you can select. Now, it may be that at the end of the semester, you assessed that one last time or whatever, then you can come back and just fix it then. Because this should remain open until the close date. Okay. So you're going to do this, then you save and go to next. And you do that for every single student. Save, go to next. And I have this mocked up so that it goes through all my students. Let's pretend I entered them all. Okay. And let's say the last one there is an NA. You can put annotations in here. You know, missed assignment number 3, which assessed SLO 3 or SLO C, I guess this would be. Okay. Now here's the problem we have right now is save and continue to reflection. You don't want to do this because you don't have the tabulated data yet. You want to say save. Then you're going to go to this thing, Results Explorer. I'm going to make a new video for this.
Okay. Oh, thanks for the video. I haven't got to see them yet, but I'm grateful they're there.
Yeah, I have another video to make with this. So then you're going to go to your results. And what this is going to do is every semester that an SLO assessment is done for that course, it's going to bring up bars for each SLO. So that's the first one, the second one, the third one. So right now these bars are really fat, but that's because it's only for fall 18. As time goes on, they're going to get skinnier and you're going to have different semesters. So you can compare over time how your students are performing. Right now, there's like one reflection completed. Don't worry about that. Table view will give you the math.
Okay.
So it's going to calculate what percentage of your course or your section met expectations, how many you put in an A for. This is why that NA is important, because everybody else met the expectation but one student. So it subtracted the student out of the analysis and gave you 100%. It said of the people who did this SLO, 100% of them accomplished it. Now, remember the questions that we used to answer on the SLO form? They're actually here, but the problem is we can't answer here on this. So we have to do this little trick where we go back to the course list, reopen our scorecard, go to the last student, and then continue on to reflection. This is where you go and answer the questions. And so like we were talking about, let's say change, in this case, what changes are needed in the SLO statement, assessment method, or assessment tool to improve results? Well, change SLO A because it's too complex, let's say. What was the most significant finding of these data? Most students like cells, I don't know, right? So you answer the questions with regard to that mathematical data that you got. You can print that as well.
Okay.
After you answer the questions, and this is just for your section alone, not the whole course. So you don't have to get together as a big group and do a bunch of, how'd yours go? You just enter it here. I say submit and share. You can share anonymously, but it doesn't really do much for you, and I'll show you why. When you submit and share, you want to go to Results Explorer. This will bring you back to this view. If you go to the table view, it'll bring you to the answers to those questions. If you shared anonymously, it just removes your name here. But the section number is still there. So you can kind of figure it out. And if two people taught the course and one shared and the other one was anonymous, again, you can figure this one out. So sharing anonymously isn't necessarily, it's up to every different area. You can look at these group responses as questions. So this was the first question. Here's what, what I said. And so like if I taught this and Carl Estrella taught it as well, you could group everyone's answers in one spot to, kind of start making something of it. You can print the data, which I highly recommend. All of this, eLumen is not housed on campus. It's not housed on individual computers. All of this is housed at Amazon Cloud, in the Amazon Cloud. So unless Amazon gets shut down, this is out there. You can log into this from home just like you log into the portal. So you can do this at home without a problem. I like printing it because you'll get everything in the end. I usually print it before I do the reflection questions because or at least I write down the information. But I like to print a hard copy because if Amazon does go down, I want my hard copy. But you can also change this and save it as a PDF to your hard drive, which is nice. Sometimes people like that because what's going to end up happening is if you come up here, I see my course information, but as time goes on and more people, let's say there are 12 people teaching 12 sections of the same course, that's going to start affecting the data here. I'm only inputting my data, but if I do it and you do it and 6 other people do it, that's going to change this. And let's say you want to take a screenshot or capture a point in time before somebody else did their data or whatever. You can also monitor whether or not things change. Maybe somebody went in and changed things, People can do that until it closes. Once it closes, it's done. Once the activity closes, I believe it's done. So I'm just going to cancel it. I'm double checking with that how the activity closes. You don't submit the activity. It's just when it closes, then we get a report saying, Heather did hers and stuff.
So is there like a certain time limit in the semester where it has to be?
So let me come back to my course list here. If you had been sent an SLO email, it'll tell you when it is due, when the assessment time period closes. And after that, I'm not sure what happens. I don't know if they close and you can't get back in. We need to figure that out because I don't know. Do you want me to stop sharing?
Well, it's up to you. Are you still recording? Are you still presenting?
I didn't stop. I mean, I finished presenting with, I'll just stop sharing now.